Number 6 says the law permits the chief technical officer to allow a site to remain open under certain circumstances. For example, any works related to the COVID-19 pandemic have been authorised to proceed. It adds any other exemptions are works related to critical national infrastructure or works which need to be completed for safety reasons. The government says the policy has already led to a sharp reduction in the number of people coming into Gibraltar each day, adding the exemption certificates are generally for projects where the workforce is permanently based in Gibraltar. But where this is not possible, it says strict conditions have been set on the movement of construction workers not resident on the ROC. Some contractors have told GBC that they're unhappy with the way exemptions have been granted. So what makes these works so essential, and how are these workplaces being kept safe whilst the rest of Gibraltar is on lockdown? The development behind me is Eurocity. Contractors on the project Sasia told GBC in a statement that they've been granted an exemption to continue works because they're at a critical stage. It says the foundations are below seawater levels and that it needs to ensure the site is watertight before stopping. To follow safety precautions issued by the government, it says its workforce has been reduced to a quarter. GBC understands this is around 25 workers on site. Some of the workers behind me are cross-border workers, but Sasia tells GBC that these workers are transported to and from and contained on the site daily in line with government conditions. Contractor Casais has been granted exemptions for 4 projects. It told GBC that workers are Portuguese and are lodging in hotels on the ROC. The contractor says it's checking workers' temperatures twice a day, not bringing in any contractors from Spain, and serving meals on site to stop workers from moving around Gibraltar. Casais have been granted permission to continue works on St. Joseph's Road. It says this work is the most critical of all its projects as there's a slope that needs to be stabilised, which could otherwise collapse. Casais have been granted 2 weeks to do this with a maximum number of 15 workers on site. It's also working on Quay 31. Casais told GBC the scaffolding requires further stabilisation given the strong winds and its height. At the Forbes site, it says structural works need to be completed to tie a cord. This could render it unstable otherwise. Casais is also working on government housing development Hassan Centenary Terraces due to piling works that need to be completed, it said. There are up to 35 workers allowed on this site with a 30-day exemption. GBC understands the development behind me, E1, has been granted an exemption on the basis of rockfall mitigation. They've been granted 3 weeks to continue these works and have a total of 15 people on site at any given time. All these workers are reportedly based in Gibraltar. Citus is the contractor working on E1. GBC understands Citus has reportedly been granted another exemption for The Hub, a block of 143 studio apartments due for completion in June. As many find themselves indoors, what about the noise pollution caused by all these works continuing? Earlier this week, GBC's news editor Jonathan Sacramento asked about this at a government press conference.
I'm sure it is something that the Minister, Samantha Sacramento, in charge of civil contingency, will take into consideration when doing these permits. You know, these are extraordinary times. We've never lived through anything like this. And so we are learning every day. And I think that was one of the factors that perhaps has never been taken into consideration in the past, but it may well have to be now.
The government has told GBC of several other works that have also been granted exemptions. The reasons for each specific exemption have not been given, although the government has said what the general criteria is. In some cases, it's obvious and undoubtedly essential, such as the field hospital at Europa Point Sports Complex and the medical ward conversion at Mount Alvernia. Regarding the others, the government simply stated that the projects fall within the criteria advised. Between the list the government has provided and the works GBC has learnt of, these amount to 14 works. 18 certificates have been issued.